How come you kissed him and you didn't kiss me?
I don't have any reason for that, I'm sorry. He's just a very attractive man.
Right?
Diane Lane has spent decades as one of Hollywood's most admired actresses. Elegant, talented, and seemingly untouched by the scandals that have consumed so many stars, she built a reputation for keeping her private life exactly that, private. Yet behind the cameras, whispers never stopped. Rumors linked her to some of the biggest leading men in Hollywood. Stories of secret romances, on-set chemistry that became too convincing, and alleged affairs followed her throughout her career. For years, Diane rarely addressed the speculation, allowing the gossip to grow louder with every new film. But now, after decades of silence, those old rumors are being talked about once again. So what really happened? Which romances were real? Which were exaggerated? And how did Diane Lane navigate life under Hollywood's unforgiving spotlight? Let's take a closer look at the remarkable life of the woman behind the headlines. Long before she became an Academy Award-nominated actress, Diane Lane's life was already filled with drama. She was born into an artistic family in New York City, where creativity surrounded her from the very beginning. Her mother was a nightclub singer and model, while her father worked as an acting coach and also drove a taxi to make ends meet. Their marriage didn't survive long after Diane was born, leaving her parents to go their separate ways while she was still an infant. The separation meant Diane spent her earliest years moving between two very different worlds. Her mother lived an unpredictable lifestyle, while her father struggled financially but remained deeply committed to raising his daughter. Eventually, the courts awarded custody to her father, and together they faced a challenging life in New York. Money was often tight, and father and daughter moved from one inexpensive hotel to another. Diane would sometimes ride along with her father during his taxi shifts, observing the colorful personalities of the city. Those experiences exposed her to both the beauty and the hardship of everyday life, shaping the emotional depth that audiences would later see in her performances. Despite the instability at home, Diane discovered something that gave her purpose. Acting quickly became more than just a hobby. Inspired by watching her grandmother captivate church audiences with passionate sermons, Diane realized she loved performing in front of people. At only 6 years old, she began acting at New York's famous experimental theater scene, astonishing adults with confidence well beyond her age. Her natural talent became impossible to ignore. By the time she reached her early teens, she was already performing alongside respected actors in major stage productions. Unlike many child performers, Diane possessed an unusual maturity. Directors noticed that she understood emotional scenes instinctively, bringing authenticity that many experienced actors struggled to achieve. While balancing school and acting wasn't easy, Diane remained determined. Eventually, an opportunity arrived that would completely change her future. Instead of choosing another Broadway production, she accepted a leading role in a feature film. It was a risky decision for someone so young, but it proved to be exactly the breakthrough she needed. Her performance immediately attracted attention across Hollywood. Critics praised her natural screen presence, and industry insiders began calling her one of the brightest young talents of her generation. The excitement reached another level when she appeared on the cover of a major national magazine, with many predicting she would become America's next great movie star. The early 1980s seemed to confirm those predictions. Diane landed role after role, demonstrating remarkable versatility. She played emotional dramatic characters, rebellious teenagers, and even experimented with comedy. Every performance showed another side of her abilities, proving she wasn't simply another pretty face trying to make it in Hollywood. Then came a project that would forever become part of movie history, The Outsiders. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, the film featured an incredible cast of young actors who would later become household names. Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, and Emilio Estevez were all part of the ensemble. Yet even surrounded by so much future star power, Diane managed to stand out. Playing Cherry Valance, she brought warmth and emotional intelligence to a story filled with conflict and rebellion. But while audiences admired her performance, something else was happening behind the scenes. Hollywood has always been fascinated by romances that begin on movie sets. and The Outsiders was no exception. During filming, Diane grew close to actor Dillon. Their on-screen chemistry reportedly continued after the cameras stopped rolling, and before long, stories about their relationship began appearing in entertainment magazines. For two young stars just beginning their careers, the attention was overwhelming. Suddenly, photographers followed their every move, and reporters wanted details about their private lives instead of their performances. Diane later acknowledged how difficult it was adjusting to such intense public interest at such a young age. Although the romance didn't last forever, both eventually moved on without public drama. Unlike many celebrity breakups that become tabloid spectacles, theirs ended quietly and respectfully. Even so, it marked the beginning of a pattern that would follow Diane for decades. Every time she shared convincing chemistry with a co-star, rumors of a real-life romance weren't far behind. Around the same period, another name became linked to Diane: Christopher Atkins. Their friendship developed during the early stages of both of their careers, eventually becoming a brief romance. Years later, Diane looked back on that relationship with affection, describing it as part of the innocence of youth rather than a scandal. But Hollywood wasn't interested in quiet, respectful relationships. The industry thrived on speculation, and gossip columns often transformed ordinary friendships into sensational headlines. As Diane's popularity continued growing, so did public curiosity about her personal life. Then another relationship captured attention, this time with Emilio Estevez. Both rising stars in the 1980s, Diane and Emilio reportedly became close while working in the same Hollywood circles. Their romance quickly became one of the industry's favorite stories. Fans loved seeing two young, successful actors together, and many believed they were destined to become one of Hollywood's lasting couples. For a while, everything appeared perfect. They attended events together, supported each other's careers, and seemed genuinely happy. Yet behind the glamorous appearances, maintaining a relationship while building demanding acting careers proved increasingly difficult. Eventually, they decided to go their separate ways. Unlike many celebrity breakups fueled by public arguments or accusations, Diane and Emilio remained on good terms. They continued respecting one another long after the romance ended, demonstrating a level of maturity rarely seen in Hollywood relationships. Still, each breakup only encouraged even more speculation. Reporters began wondering who Diane might date next. Every new film introduced another handsome co-star, and with every project came another wave of rumors. What many people overlooked was Diane's growing commitment to her craft. She wasn't chasing headlines. She was chasing meaningful roles. Unfortunately, success in Hollywood rarely follows a straight path. Despite the enormous expectations surrounding her career, several of Diane's films during the mid-1980s failed to perform as studios had hoped. Critics questioned whether the young actress who had once been hailed as Hollywood's future superstar had lost momentum. Rather than desperately accepting every available role, Diane made a surprising decision. She stepped away from Hollywood. Instead of fighting for attention, she returned to Georgia to reconnect with her mother. Their relationship had been deeply complicated for years, especially after the painful custody battles and long separation during Diane's childhood. Time away from the spotlight gave both women an opportunity to heal old wounds. For Diane, this period became one of emotional growth rather than professional success. She later admitted that repairing her relationship with her mother mattered far more than chasing another blockbuster film. That decision would ultimately change everything. When she eventually returned to acting, audiences noticed something different. Diane wasn't simply a talented young actress anymore. She had gained emotional maturity, life experience, and a deeper understanding of the characters she portrayed. Those qualities soon led to one of the biggest comebacks of her career. Returning to Hollywood with renewed confidence, Diane Lane slowly rebuilt the momentum many believed she had lost. Television helped reignite her career, particularly with her acclaimed performance in the Western miniseries Lonesome Dove. Audiences praised her emotional depth, while critics recognized a more mature actress who had transformed personal hardships into unforgettable performances. The role earned widespread acclaim and reminded Hollywood that Diane Lane was far from finished. As her career climbed once again, so did the rumors surrounding her private life. One of the biggest stories involved legendary actor Richard Gere. Although they had first worked together years earlier, it was their reunion in Unfaithful that sparked endless speculation. On screen, they portrayed a married couple whose relationship slowly unraveled after an affair. Their performances felt so believable that many viewers became convinced the chemistry couldn't possibly be fake. Entertainment magazines quickly began suggesting there was something happening beyond the cameras. Headlines hinted that the emotional connection audiences witnessed on screen reflected real feelings between the actors. But according to Diane, the truth was far less dramatic. She consistently explained that their connection came from years of mutual respect and professional trust. Having worked together before, both actors understood each other's styles, making emotionally demanding scenes feel authentic. What audiences interpreted as romance was, in Diane's view, simply the result of two experienced performers giving everything they had to their roles. Ironically, those rumors only increased the film's popularity. Released in 2002, Unfaithful became one of Diane's greatest career achievements. Playing a suburban wife caught between loyalty and temptation, she delivered a fearless performance that critics described as career-defining. Her portrayal earned nominations for the Academy Awards, Golden Globes, and Screen Actors Guild Awards, firmly establishing her among Hollywood's finest actresses. While Unfaithful elevated her professional reputation, the media remained fascinated by her love life. Years later, another unexpected rumor emerged when Diane starred alongside Matthew McConaughey in the thriller Serenity. Unlike previous stories, this one began with a surprisingly honest confession. During promotional interviews, McConaughey admitted that he had admired Diane since he was much younger. His playful revelation instantly generated headlines around the world, with some outlets suggesting his longtime admiration hinted at romantic feelings developing during filming. Fans loved the story. Their performances in the film carried emotional intensity, and McConaughey's public comments added another layer to the speculation. Once again, Diane calmly addressed the situation. She praised Matthew as a gifted actor and spoke warmly about working with him, but made it clear their relationship never became romantic. His childhood admiration was flattering, she acknowledged, but it remained exactly that, a respectful compliment from a longtime colleague. The pattern had become almost predictable. Every convincing performance created another wave of gossip. Another example involved veteran actor Robert Duvall. Their work together on Lonesome Dove produced remarkable chemistry that many viewers interpreted as evidence of an off-screen romance. Yet Diane consistently dismissed those rumors as well, explaining that Duvall's professionalism inspired everyone around him. Their relationship was built on mutual admiration, not romance. Still, the public rarely seemed satisfied with those explanations. Perhaps the most overlooked chapter involved director Danny Cannon. While filming Judge Dredd during the mid-1990s, reports suggested Diane briefly dated Cannon rather than one of her famous co-stars. Unlike many of the other rumors surrounding her career, this relationship remained largely private and never became a major tabloid obsession. Even after they separated, both reportedly remained friendly, treating the relationship with maturity instead of public drama. Then there was Nicolas Cage. The two actors first crossed paths early in their careers before eventually reuniting years later. During that second collaboration, reports claimed they shared a brief romantic relationship. Unlike sensational headlines that painted the story as a scandal, those close to both actors described it as a short-lived relationship between two professionals who respected one another. Diane herself later suggested their friendship had always been more important than any temporary romance. By now, a clear pattern had emerged throughout her career. Rumors often grew from simple friendships. Professional chemistry became tabloid gossip. Respect between colleagues transformed into stories of secret affairs. Yet through every headline, Diane rarely responded with anger or public feuds. Instead, she allowed her work to speak louder than speculation. Away from movie sets, her personal life also experienced major highs and heartbreaking lows. She married actor Christopher Lambert after meeting him while filming Love Dreams. Together they welcomed a daughter, and for several years they appeared to have found lasting happiness. However, balancing demanding acting careers with family life proved difficult, and the marriage eventually ended in divorce. Years later, Diane found love again with actor Josh Brolin. At first, fans celebrated the relationship, believing both stars had finally found stability. But behind closed doors, the marriage faced serious challenges. Reports of heated arguments and personal struggles frequently surfaced, placing enormous pressure on the couple. Eventually, their marriage also came to an end. Despite experiencing 2 highly public divorces, Diane refused to let personal disappointment define her future. Instead of becoming consumed by tabloid attention, she focused on raising her daughter and continuing to choose meaningful acting roles. That resilience became one of the defining qualities of her life. As Hollywood changed around her, Diane successfully reinvented herself. A new generation discovered her when she stepped into the role of Martha Kent, Superman's adoptive mother, in the DC superhero films. Her warm, compassionate portrayal introduced Diane to millions of younger viewers who may never have seen her earlier classics. Television also brought fresh opportunities. Her performances in acclaimed series earned renewed critical praise, proving that decades after first entering the entertainment industry, she remained one of Hollywood's most dependable and respected performers. Today, looking back across more than 4 decades in show business, Diane Lane's legacy extends far beyond the rumors that once dominated magazine covers. Yes, she experienced romances. Yes, she formed close friendships with many famous actors. And yes, countless stories circulated about alleged affairs throughout her career. But when examining the facts, many of those sensational headlines appear far less dramatic than they originally seemed. Some relationships were genuine. Others were little more than speculation fueled by convincing on-screen chemistry and Hollywood's endless appetite for gossip. Perhaps that's why Diane rarely felt the need to defend herself. She understood something many celebrities never learn, that rumors eventually fade, but great performances remain. From a determined young girl navigating a difficult childhood to an Academy Award-nominated actress admired across generations, Diane Lane built a career based on talent rather than controversy. While Hollywood may continue searching for shocking headlines, Diane's greatest achievement has never been her personal relationships. It has been her remarkable ability to captivate audiences year after year, proving that true star power isn't created by gossip columns. It is earned through dedication, resilience, and unforgettable performances. And that may be the biggest truth of all.